The Padres take 2 of 3 from the Colorado Rockies to get back on the winning track. Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside former Padres center fielder Mike Cameron. Mike, the Padres went into Colorado struggling. They dropped the opener. They managed to take the last 2 games. Again, it's been a rough stretch for the Padres. They needed to come out with a series win, and they got one.
Most definitely, Kyle. Like the best thing about this situation right now, everyone has 19 games to play. I think everyone has the urgency and understand that getting W's is pivotal at this particular point, and you have to continue to play good baseball uh, against teams that are out of it. When you face these teams that are out of it, they most of the time they have a few guys that have come up, in September call-ups, and they're hungry, and so they don't care nothing about your playoff race. They're trying to prove that they can play baseball, and they're going to be coming at your neck all the time, man. So it is pivotal, for these teams that are in the races right now, and considerably for the San Diego Padres to find ways to get victories against teams that are out of it per se, and also at the same time, making sure that you keep yourself in position. In Padres' case, it is a chance to get a division title in
Yep.
this run that the LA Dodgers have been on.
Yeah, and you mentioned beating the teams you're supposed to beat. That's something the Padres had struggled with. They'd lost a series to the Twins. They got swept at home by the Orioles. We talk so much about the Padres having a soft schedule at this point in the year, but you can't take anything for granted this time of year. You have a lot of teams looking to play spoiler, a lot of teams fighting for their playoff lives. Nothing comes easy. And we all know that, yes, the Rockies are the worst team in baseball, but anything can happen in Coors Field. Padres again dropped the opener. Second game jumped out to a big 10-2 lead. Had to hold on 10-8. As you know, Mike, 7-run leads, 8-run leads in Coors Field. Nothing is safe. Then they won the rubber match today. So all in all, a good series for the Padres. Before we dive in further, I want to remind everyone the Friar Territory shop is live. We've got all sorts of good stuff. Make sure and go ahead and check it out. We've got t-shirts, we've got hats, quarter zips just hit. Go ahead and check those out. Bags, water bottles, folders, all the good stuff. So go ahead and support the show. I've got my order in. I know Mike's got his order in. Lots of good swag to go get. All right. So, Mike, with the Padres now, I want to talk about a few aspects of this series, offensively, defensively, but first and foremost on the pitching side. The Padres had gotten 5 innings from their starting pitcher once in the 9 games leading up to the series. And this was a huge problem. If your starter can't even give you 5 innings consistently, you're probably not going to win. This was something that was an existential threat to the Padres' playoff hopes. If they had another stretch of 8 of 9 games where their starter couldn't get through 5, they were going to go 2-7 again, which is what they did their last stretch. They
Yeah.
went into Colorado, never an easy place to pitch, and all 3 starting pitchers crossed that threshold. Nick Pivetta, 6 innings, 2 earned runs in the opener. Randy Vasquez stepping up in a big way, 6 innings, 2 earned runs in game 2. And in the finale today, Dylan Cease, who we've talked a lot about on the show, came in with a 7.02 ERA in his last 4 starts, was failing to get through 4 innings, a lot of outings, let alone 5. 5 innings, 1 earned run today. And again, wasn't the most pitch efficient, needed 102 pitches to do it, but he got there. Having 3 starters in a row give the Padres at least 5 complete innings. Again, it seems like a low bar to clear, but something the Padres hadn't been getting. And I think that was the most important development of this weekend series.
Yeah. So, like the biggest thing for this series right now was, when you split the first 2 games
Yeah.
and you need to win that next game. And today, Dylan Cease was the guy who really stepped up in the case. He gave him 5 innings. He had 5 punch outs. He only gave up 1 run and 1 earned run. So that was the essential for this team to be in the position they were to win the ball game. And we know, if you can get the Padres starters to go at least 5 or 6 innings, you know what you have in the back end of that bullpen that can clear out everything, moving forward. They have this awesome shutdown potential to be able to do what they're capable of doing. And today, you got like a large contribution for all of the teams. You got contributions from everyone in the lineup for the most part,
Yeah.
and that's essential for being able to continue to win ball games and give yourself a chance to remain in the thick of this last 19 game stretch going down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Padres are one game back of the Dodgers for the National League West lead. And look, we've talked a lot about the Padres' struggles over these last few weeks. The good news for them is the Dodgers have struggled equally as much, so they have not fallen too far back in the race. Right now, this is going to be a photo finish. The Dodgers did win their series finale today against the Orioles, so they were able to stay one game ahead. Nonetheless, we know this is going to come down to the very, very end. These two teams have been neck and neck really for most of the last month and a half. I expect it to remain that way. And Mike, we talk so much about when a team is struggling, you need your stars to step up. You need your big dogs to step up. You also need your support guys to step up. You also need guys that maybe you're not expecting a ton from to come up in a big spot for you. And Randy Vasquez did that for the Padres on Saturday. As we mentioned, the Padres got shut out in the opener. Getting shut out at Coors Field is hard to do. Kyle Freeland just
Yeah,
carved them up. Lost
yeah,
3-0 the series opener. It was their fifth straight loss. And you look at, okay, we lose a series to the Twins. You get swept at home by the last place Orioles. And now you get shut out by the Rockies in the opener. Things could have spiraled really badly from there. Randy Vasquez, who has stepped up admirably all year, gets called up from AAA, was on paternity leave with his wife, steps in, gives the Padres 6 innings, 2 earned runs allowed, allows them to get out to a big early lead, and they go on to stay to, well, I should say it wasn't an easy win because the Rockies cut a 10-2 lead to 10-8.
yeah.
Nonetheless, they were ahead the whole way, and Randy Vasquez put them in position for that. I just felt like that right there was such a turning point because if Randy Vasquez goes out and blows up and gives the Padres another 3 2/3 inning start, now you're looking at losing a series to the Rockies, losing a 6 straight game.
Yeah.
For him to step up like he did, that 6 inning 2 earned run outing, I mean that's a turning point for the Padres, and I think something that just needs to be recognized. I wouldn't say celebrated, but recognized and appreciated what Randy Vasquez did for the club.
Most definitely. Anytime you can get a good clean start from your starter, um, it just the starting pitching. I always felt like starting pitching shift momentum more than anything in the game. You know, if you can get good starts from your starters and you understand what your roster shape is, and in this case, San Diego Padres have one of the best from 6 to 9 inning bullpens that you can count on over the course of the season. And with the addition of some guys that they got, man, like they are in position now to do it. It's just up to the players. It's also up to the main characters to do the job that they're capable of doing. Looking back at in that Saturday game that Vasquez had, Machado had 3 RBIs. Arise had 2 RBIs. Manning was over 5, but O'Hearn stepped up. And obviously, one of the biggest culprits in this thing has been Laureano. But you got
Oh yeah,
some contribution
yeah.
from me, and obviously, as we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But Chrome work has been big for this team, so it is essential at this particular point for guys to be. You're going to have your offers. It don't matter if it's April or if it's September. You're going to have guys that are going to be still struggling or whatever. But the key is to stay in the fight on a daily basis and give yourself opportunity, because most of the time when these players show up, it is I won't say a guarantee, but it's an 80% chance that you're going to win ball games because of this is what the records show. These are the things that need to be, looked at. And I think that the Padres are in a pretty good position right now, but there's no time to rest on your laurels right now. Or should I say your Laureanos?
Absolutely. And that's a great segue into the offense's performance, scoring 18 runs over the final 2 games after being shut out in the opener. We're going to dive into that offensive performance right after this word from our sponsors. NFL fans, week 1 is your shot to play free and stack $1 million cash bag with DraftKings Pick 6, an official partner of the NFL. Here's how. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, DraftKings' easiest way to play fantasy. Enter for free and pick more or less on 6 player stats for week 1. Hit all 6 picks and you'll be splitting a bag that's already at $1 million or more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, use code FOUL, opt in for free, and start stacking entries for NFL Week 1. Zero cost, Huge upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. Must claim token for free entry in Bag Builder contests. Only perfect entries earn share of cash prize. Tokens are single use and expire September 8th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All right, Mike, leading into the break, we discussed the Padres' offensive explosion over the final two games in Colorado. They scored 10 runs in the second game, 8 runs in the finale, en route to an 8-1 victory. This is the Padres' offense look. They have been very up and down. We saw them come out hot post-trade deadline with all their new additions. Then we saw them kind of start to slump a little bit as Fernando Tatis Jr. slumped, as Manny Machado slumped through August. Again, it hasn't been as consistent as you would like, but we have seen more occasions where this team is able to give you an offensive explosion and have these 10-run, 8-run games. They hit 4 home runs today, only the third time they have done that. We saw Manny Machado and Gavin Sheets both hit 450-foot bombs. Ramon Laureano went deep. Again, a lot of contributions all over. We talk about this being a turning point series for the pitching staff. I do think seeing the offense have the kind of performances they did in games 2 and 3 of the series after getting, frankly, embarrassed and shut out in the first game, it was a really, really, really nice development, and I think gives you some optimism going into this very critical series against the Reds.
Definitely. I mean, offensively, we know what we need to expect, from these Tatis, Arise, Machado, and Merrill has been the core essential of the offense, with it, but also with the new additions of O'Hearn and Laureano. And obviously I can't leave out Sheets because he's been like in the mix at this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you get a chance to do this, we know that this is not a big slugging team in a sense of hitting the ball over the fence. So they've having to use like all of their aspects of their offense. And today I feel like they got a large contributions from each and every individual to be able to contribute to the victory today. And if you can go down this stretch, and if you can go down as you go down the stretch, you're looking to play consistent baseball. And the one thing that you have to do, you cannot assume and take on too much pressure to where you can't perform at your ability. It's just a matter. It's a total team effort in this, and you have to be able to do it. But at the end of the day, you need Machado to be Machado.
Yeah.
You need Tatis to be Tatis, and you need Merrill to be Merrill, and
Yeah.
everyone else kind of falls in that. You need these guys to be what they are. And what it does, it just provides a different spark of energy for your team when your stars are starting. And it's essential at this point. You're always going to have one or two guys. And it seems like this guy's been Laureano because
Oh,
he's
yeah.
been keeping everything, like every time he's in there, he's doing something. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's essential for a team to be really good, especially that in this particular. It's a sprint now. It's no longer a stretch. It's a straight sprint, and you need to get W's as much as possible. And I think all these guys that I just named right now are essential for victories down the stretch. Playing against a team like Cincinnati, who is definitely in it. They're going to be coming in. They're going to be locked in. So it's going to be up to the starting pitcher to set the tone, but also it's going to be not a time for any person in that lineup to take a pitch off or a day off or whatever it may be.
Yeah, some really good signs. Fernando Tatis Jr. has 2 home runs this month. He homered in the Saturday game. Manny Machado has 2 home runs already this month. He had that big home run today. Tatis and Machado each hit 1 home run the entire month of August. They each have 2 home runs here through the first 7 days of September. So you're starting to see improved power production from them. Now they have to keep it up. You don't want it to stop here. But at the very
Yeah.
least, they're getting back on track. And I'm really glad you brought up Jackson Merrill. Came off the injured list for the 3rd time this season. Struggled a little bit his first few games back. Nothing out of the ordinary, but was 0 for 10, his first 10 at-bats back. We saw him start to find some rhythm. He got a knock on Saturday, but in the finale today, went 3 for 5 with an opposite field home run. He was the fourth home run I didn't mention earlier. Seeing him not only homer, but go oppo to do it, seeing him have that multi-hit game. Again, it's been a while. Look, it has been a difficult season for Jackson Merrill. 3 IL stints. He's had some big ups and downs. He really
Yeah.
has slumped and not been the same since his concussion, as we talked about on the show last week. But for him to come out, have that 3-hit game, oppo home run, again, it's just good signs. We're starting to see some positives from the guys we need to see positives from. I should say the Padres need to see positives from if they want to achieve their goals.
Oh yeah. Look, the one thing we keep forgetting about Merrill, we talking about this guy like he's a 8, 9, 10-year vet. The guy's only 22 years old, man.
Yeah.
He had a great season last year, a
Yeah.
great rookie season, and you're asking a lot for him in this particular case. Maybe because of the deal he signed or whatever it may be, but at the same time, he's going through some sophomore stuff, where he's been hurt and things haven't gone the way he liked to do. So at
Yeah.
this point, I think he's just in a position to say, okay, as long as the team and Manny and Tatis and all these guys like, hey man, like just do your part right now at this particular time. We've already saw how good you are at this point right now. We just need you to get on track and try to have some professional at bats and be consistent as much as possible. I see, they moved him down in the lineup a little bit to kind of
Yeah.
get him settled in, and that can help. But we know what type of caliber player this guy is, and it's essential for them to have him healthy playing center field more than anything else, and giving him opportunity to have some professional productive at bats, man. So it's essential for all these guys to understand it. I'm hoping that they speak in these terms, because this is still a young man, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, this is a really young man who is still trying to find
Yeah.
his mantra amongst the game in itself. I mean, the game doesn't give you anything but chaos all the time. You just have to find some comfort in that chaos,
Yeah.
and hopefully that this is a sign for Merrill to be able to come back and do the things he's capable of doing.
Absolutely. And again, you talk about other guys stepping up while Manny Machado struggled, while Fernando Tatis Jr. struggled, while Jack Samara was on the aisle and struggled. Gavin Sheets, who we mentioned again, hit a 451-foot home run today. He's hitting 343 with a 1039 OPS since the trade deadline. Ramon Laureano
Yeah.
hitting 320 with a 950 OPS, 8 homers and 25 RBIs. Freddie Fermin hitting 277 since the deadline. Jake Cronenworth hitting
Yeah.
274 with an 840 OPS. So the Padres are having other guys step up, and namely guys who, for the most part, have been hitting in the bottom half of the order, which is huge because we talked for so many months about how the Padres' top half of the order was great and their bottom half of the order was a lot of automatic outs. Now they're getting the production from the bottom half. So if we can see Fernando Tatis Jr., we can see Manny Machado, we can see Jackson Merrill. Yes, he did hit seventh today, but his talent is that of a top half of the order hitter. If they can get going, if they can use this series as a launching pad to get right, it's going to do wonders for the Padres. And Mike, that brings me to one other element of the lineup that was different today that I thought was very, very interesting. Jake Cronenworth got the start at shortstop for the Padres. Now, this was Jake Cronenworth's first start at shortstop since 2022. And it's interesting because we talked last week about Jackson Merrill coming back. Should he play shortstop? Because that would allow for Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, and Luis Arias to all be in the lineup at the same time. This was the other way to do it. You have Cronenworth at short, Arias at second, O'Hearn at first, and Sheets in left. Or Sheets left or DH. The reason I was hesitant and the reason I said I think the Jackson Merrill move might be better was simply because Merrill had actually played shortstop for a full season more recently than Cronenworth had. And I thought a middle infield of Merrill at short, Cronenworth at second would be better than a middle infield of Cronenworth at short and Arise at second. That said, this is the lineup, this is the defensive alignment that does allow the Padres to have the three key hitters they need in their lineup every single day to be in their lineup, and O'Hearn, Sheets, and Arise. And it allows Merrill to just play center field, get reacclimated out there, especially not test his ankle, having to move laterally at shortstop. What did you think of the Padres doing this? And then, of course, putting Jose Iglesias in as a defensive replacement late.
Well, the one thing that you got to look at for the first point of this is making sure Cronenworth is comfortable playing this position. And I'm obviously he probably has gotten a little bit of work there. And so if it allows the structure of your lineup and your team
Yeah.
when they take the field to be in place. And all you're asking for Cronenworth to do is to catch the ball as he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better and be a major contributor to this. It is essential, like versatility is essential, I guess, in today's game to be able to have guys to play multiple positions. And if you can get a guy who is primarily a second baseman or primarily, sometimes he plays first base, but if you can get him to be able to play shortstop, yeah, man, it adds versatility to your team. And we know with the way that he is contributing offensively, it is pivotal for this team to be able to have that type of versatility, which allows the other parts of the lineups to settle in. And then you do have Iglesias on the bench who can come in and sub in that situation. So it is a great thing to have, man. And these are the things that you need to have down the stretch to be able to do it with the way your roster construction. I know they also have McCoy on the line on the roster and everything, but right now you got to get W's, so you got to get the productive guys in the lineup.
And look, let's be clear. You are certainly sacrificing some defense with this alignment, but given the state of the Padres offense, given how they need every impact bat they can get, they don't have the flexibility or the ability to have one or two lineup spots right now that just aren't producing because they have too many other guys who aren't producing at the top of the lineup. I do think this is the right move, and I would like to see the Padres do this moving forward. Again, start games with Cronenworth at short, Arise at second, and then later in the game, seventh, eighth, depending on the situation, then you sub in Jose Iglesias as a late game defensive replacement at short, slide Cronenworth over to second, and you can do whatever you want with, Arise, Sheets, O'Hearn. And again, the days where Sheets is in left field, Bryce Johnson goes out anyway, potentially. Although, again, there's all sorts of things you can do, but it gives the Padres positional flexibility. And Jake Cronenworth did play a lot of shortstop in college. He played a lot of shortstop in the minors. Again, it's been a little bit. He has stepped in there in reserve, but he hasn't started a game at short since 2022 until today. So
Yeah.
I do think this is the defensive alignment the Padres should go with moving forward just because it gives them the most offensive thump that they can possibly have. And frankly, that's something they desperately need. Where are you on this? Would you like to see them roll this out as their regular lineup moving forward until Xander Bogaerts gets back?
Yeah, I mean, it's as comfortable as Cronenworth can be, playing shortstop. I'm sure he's getting work there on a daily basis. So, there's once a player gets a chance and understand what his role is at this particular time, he's going to go out and do the work that you're supposed to do. You may lose a step or two on defensively or whatever it may be, but the main thing that we're trying to look at in this position is if we can put Cronenworth at short, that allows us to settle guys in other slots into the lineup. And the way Cronenworth is swinging the bat right now, you need every aspect of this lineup to be in a position to be productive as much as possible. And hopefully it doesn't come back to bite you, from a defensive aspect, but you're looking at it from an offensive standpoint right now. But it is essential to have Cronenworth to be in the lineup because of what he's been able to contribute down the stretch at this point.
And again, got to have Sheets in the lineup, got to have O'Hearn in the lineup. I know Luis
Yeah.
Rise is struggling, but any given day, he's capable of going 4 for 4 and driving in some key runs in big spots. So I do think this is the best possible lineup the Padres can roll out there right now. And I think it is the lineup they should roll out there as the regular lineup. We'll see what they do during this upcoming pivotal series against the Cincinnati Reds. We are going to preview it in full. Take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, then we will dive right in.
FT fam, designer clothes can be expensive, but we want our clothes to look good. We want to feel good. We want them to be affordable. And Kratz, if you tell me that I can wear a t-shirt that looks like it's tailored, but it's not actually tailored and it just comes that way, then sign me up for True Classic.
Have to. You got to sign up for it. because these shirts are soft, they're thin, they're durable, and they're very versatile. You can wear them to the gym, you can wear them out to a nice dinner. Let's get after it because these shirts are the real deal.
They are. Check it out. I've got one of the performance ones. It's a nice blue, fits well. I can go to the gym. I can go out. I can do FT in a shirt like this. FT fam, there's a reason why True Classic has sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers. And they are racking up over 200,000 5-star reviews. See for yourself with our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL.
All right, Mike, the Padres return home for a 7-game homestand, beginning with 3 games against the Cincinnati Reds Monday through Wednesday. This is a very, very pivotal series. The Padres are in the 5th spot in the National League playoff picture right now, They are just a game behind the Dodgers for the division lead. But the 2 wins they pulled out against the Rockies were very, very key because the Reds also won the final 2 games of their series against the Mets, another series that had big playoff implications. And if the Padres had lost these 2 games, we would have had a situation where the Reds are coming in only trailing the Padres by 4 games. The Padres gave themselves a cushion. They have a 6-game lead over the Reds right now. At the same time, you don't want to give them any breathing room. You don't want to give them any sort of life. If the Padres can go in and win this series and be 8 games up on the Reds, you can pretty much put the idea of the Reds catching the Padres completely to bed. It's already hanging by a thread, but the Padres can really kind of this can be the kill shot. What are you going to be looking for in this series between the Padres and the Reds, and what do you think the keys are going to be?
Well, first of all, we got to get you Darvish on track. Like that is essential to set the tone at the beginning of this series. The Reds obviously they're behind the Mets, and the Padres are trying to stay in that position that they're in right now, along with chasing a opportunity to win the division.
Yeah.
And so, you can't lose sight of the division when you have a chance in that particular category.
Yeah.
But it's just that you just are trying to get yourself in position to win a series against the Reds, and that alone will take care of the Reds in themselves. That let's win this series, and that'll put the Reds in a position where they have to fight their own battle. So as the Padre, I'm looking at like, man, we are right in this thing. We don't have any more games against the Dodgers, but at the same time, we can put a lot of pressure on this division by taking care of business against a team that is fighting for a playoff spot. So, like, go in fighting tooth and nail to try to put yourself in a position to do this, especially against a Cincinnati Reds team. There's no time to, rest on your laurels or Laureanos to make yourself visible and keep applying the pressure to not only keeping yourself above the New York Mets, but also applying pressure to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, no question about it. The Reds took 2 of 3 from the Mets. Again, the Reds are fighting with the Mets for that final wild card spot. As we sit here today, the Padres are 4 games up on the Mets for that final wild card spot. They're 6 games up on a collection of teams who are 72 and 71. The Diamondbacks very quietly have won 4 straight and 8 of their last 10. They're back over 500. They're 72 and 71. The Reds are 72 and 71. The Giants are 72 and 71. And oh, by the way, the Cardinals are hanging around at 500, 72 and 72. So the Padres have a comfortable lead over all of these teams, but you got to finish strong. You can't take it for granted and say, oh, we're up 6 games. We have breathing room. You have an opportunity to more or less knock a team out of, at the very minimum, any possibility of catching you and potentially end their playoff dreams if you go in there and just mop the floor with them. I do think the Padres have a golden opportunity here, and it does start with the starting pitching. The Padres will be throwing Yu Darvish in game 1, TBD in game 2. We'll see if Michael King is activated off the IL, Nick Pivetta in the finale, but they're going to be facing some really good pitchers as well. The Reds are going to open with Nick Lodolo, then they'll go Zach Littell and finish with Andrew Abbott. Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott are 2 of the best young lefties in baseball, and we have seen the Padres struggle with high-end lefties. Zach Littell
Yeah.
has not been as effective since coming over from Tampa Bay at the trade deadline with Cincinnati, but he's still a solid pitcher who has a 3-year track record of being, a solid, effective starter. So I do think we'll see some really, really good pitching from the Red side this series, and it's going to be up to the Padres pitchers to match that. And you mentioned Yu Darvish. He has a 6.00 ERA in his last 4 starts. He has only gone 18 innings combined in those last 4 starts. We've talked about how the Padres were able to string together 3 consecutive days where their starting pitcher completed at least 5. Now it's Yu Darvish's turn, and I think that is going to be critical in the opener, seeing Yu Darvish get through 5. I mean, hopefully 6 or 7, but at the bare minimum, get back on track and getting through 5.
Yeah, Cal, the one thing I think that is a favor for you, Darvish, is with the type of pitching that he has and the type of team that the Cincinnati Reds have. They are, they swing and miss, a lot.
Yeah.
So you, Darvish, can take advantage of this situation going into this start. And get himself on track. He has the whole repertoire of pitches where he can offset, some of these young hitters with the Cincinnati Reds. But
Yeah.
I can assure you that Terry Tito Francona will make sure that his guys are ready to play. And it's going to be up to you, Darvish, to set the tone in this series. And if he can get out to a good start, we know anytime that you can get out to a good start, when you have the back end of this bullpen that the San Diego Padres have, then you're going to have a good chance. But it's a total team concept in this thing, but it always starts with the starting pitching.
Yeah, one good thing for the Padres is they avoid Hunter Green this series. We all know what he's capable of. But again, anytime you're facing Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Zach Littell, I don't think you should reasonably expect an 8 or 9 run outburst. Realistically, barring a surprise, it's going to be 4 runs, 5 runs. So it really does come down to how the starting pitchers perform. And I think from the Padres' perspective, you're right. This is a Reds team that does strike out a lot. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is a great Reds offense or a deep Reds offense, because it's not.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of guys who can hurt you. Ellie De La Cruz can hurt a lot of baseballs. He can hurt a lot of pitchers. This is one of the most explosive, exciting players in the game. Noelvi Marte, by the way, can punish baseball. Spencer Steer has not had the best year, but you do not want to make a mistake against him. Again, there are enough guys in this lineup that can hurt you if you're not on your A game. So I think from the Padres' perspective, it really is going to be, once again, can Yu Darvish, and then whatever they do Tuesday, whether it's JP Sears, whether it's Michael King, they shouldn't do a bullpen game given how much their bullpen has been stressed, but we'll see what they do. Can they do enough to hold down this Reds offense, knowing realistically the Padres offense, again, if they can score more than 4 or 5 a game against these starting pitchers, great. But I don't think you can go in expecting, oh yeah, we have a good shot to put up 8, 9, 10 like you do against Rockies pitching in Coors Field.
As you said, with this Padres team, the one thing that we do know about the Padres is they're a very good home team.
Yeah.
And so that is in their favor in that sense. And it's essential to take advantage of that particular aspect with the home cooking in a sense. And look, we all know that we know the Padre fans and the Friar Territory fans, they're gonna show up at the game and they're gonna be loud and they're gonna make sure their team hears them and everything. So it is good. It's a good opportunity for good home cooking to get off to a good start of the home series. And what better way to do it than having you, Darvish, go out and set the tone for this particular time. And you need one of your guys. You need one of your Manny Machados or your Tatises or and now I got to throw Laureano in there and Jackson Merrills to have a good series against this Reds team, because it's going to be that type of fight in these last 19 games. But you can't give any ground at this particular point. Your playoffs has essentially started right now, and you need to be able to have good starting pitching. We know what the back of the bullpen is once again, and then we need guys to start playing like what they're capable of doing. And we know, it's tough. This time of year, man, everyone's tired. Everyone is not at their best, but we need to fight we need to fight and defend home territory.
Yeah, no question about it, especially after the Padres were frankly embarrassed at Petco Park the last time they were there, getting swept by the last place Orioles. They have a 7-game homestand now against the Reds, against the Rockies. This is one of those homestands where, again, you really want to see the team go at least 5-2, just given the opposition, given where we are in the season, and given they're only 1 game back of the Dodgers for the division lead. This is a team that has an opportunity to strike and pull away from the rest of the wild card field and potentially lead a struggling Dodgers team in the division once again. The opportunity is ripe. Now they just have to go out and execute. Mike, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
Well, one of the biggest things that from the fan standpoint is they can't understand why teams play well against certain teams or this, that, and the other. But look, teams sometimes they're hot, and you just catch a hot team. You just have to understand that you got to try to play your best baseball against some of these teams that are in it or out of it, and sometimes they get hot. Look at the Chicago White Sox; they're just winning to Detroit and just dis- destroy them with
Yep.
that pitching staff they got. But my keys in this situation is like understand that these 19 games are essential to possibly vaulting yourself to maybe the top of the division or also putting yourself in a better position in the playoff position poll. So, or wild card standard, whatever it may be. So you have to make sure that you're trying to play your best baseball against these guys and not giving any ground on any of these teams. And my last thought was to our fellow mate Keith Bell playing with the Savannah Bananas.
Yep.
He got a chance to come through there once again in front of Trevor Hoffman
Yep.
and bring electricity. Once again, you probably don't get a chance to feel those emotions, that type of energy anymore once you're done playing baseball. And to be able to see that and these guys get a chance to experience it back in San Diego, is pretty special, man. That was good to be able to see those guys. They asked me to do it in Seattle. I can't do it. My professional at-bats are done until January of fantasy baseball. So that is it for me. Like I just don't want to put myself in that situation where I can get hurt. I just saw a guy today try to run out Mr. Freeze in Atlanta and blew out his hamstring. Now he's going to be down for like 2 weeks trying to go out here and run against these guys. I don't want to put myself in that situation. I do not want to be hurt. I enjoy the Savannah Bananas. I'll sit in the stands. I know the tickets are high, but man, I am not going to put myself in that situation to go out and do it. So, those are my outros on this day, on this good Sunday or whatever. So, we look forward to seeing some good baseball played in San Diego and hope that people get a chance to come out and see a nice collective team effort in putting themselves in a position to win some ball games.
No question about it. I do have to mention the Savannah Bananas. Heath had told me a while ago he was doing this. We had to keep it on the DL. It was top secret. I will say this, first and foremost, it was great to see Trevor Hoffman coming out to Hell's Bells. Again, it's just a lot of fun. I did see the Savannah Bananas for the first time earlier this season. They came into Anaheim. I just took my wife, my daughter, my brother. They all wanted to see it. They do a nice job. I was worried they were going to overdo it. I was worried it was just going to be kind of corny and annoying after a while.
Yeah.
They actually, I think, do a really nice job of balancing it out. They keep it fun, but the baseball is also like a decent quality. It's not great quality, but it's decent enough. And on the whole, I think they do a really nice job. I want to give props to Jesse Cole and what they've done out there because, again, it'd be way too easy, I think, for them to just go too far into the hijinks to the point where it gets annoying, which, by the way, you see sometimes in minor league baseball now. Like at certain points, like, are we at the circus or are we at a baseball game? They do a really good job. I really think the Savannah Bananas do a good job balancing it out. Everyone in San Diego got to see it. They do nice work. And the other thing I'll add is when I did see them in Anaheim, you mentioned guys getting hurt. It was the funniest thing. So I was there the day John Lackey came out to pitch, and he just needed to get one out. And the Bananas were trying to do all sorts of trick plays defensively and made like 3 errors behind them.
Nah.
So John Lackey was laboring in a Savannah Bananas game. He couldn't get the ball to the plate. He was bouncing him. And I'm watching John Lackey just out there laboring for the Savannah Bananas. I'm like, and knowing John Lackey, I'm like waiting for him to turn around and just eat someone alive. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Luckily, on like the 4th attempt, routine ground ball, the guy did a trick play and actually executed it for the final out. But it was so fun. I mean, John Lackey probably threw 30 pitches, and he was laboring hard because they could not make it out behind him. I was dying laughing.
Yeah. Guys don't. They're not training for this with the intensity. They're most of the time they're training to not embarrass themselves or get hurt.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the John Lackey situation.
Oh man.
And the Lackey I know, and the Lackey I used to face, the Lackey that was my teammate in Boston. This guy I would die laughing because he probably would have blown up if he wasn't got that last out.
Oh yeah,
Because it is that serious. Oh my God. Lackey is one of those guys that will blow everybody up all the time. But I understand, I respect what they do, man. They sell out everywhere they go. You know, the kids enjoy it. They do the dances and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's what they do, man. I like watching that. Like, look, a lot of purists or traditional guys, people don't like what the Savannah Bananas are doing, but I mean, it's entertainment. You know, they go entertain and they sell out everywhere they go, man. So, you know, kudos to those guys and to the guys that do it. Yeah, I'm just not fit for that at this particular point. I mean, literally, I feel like my last professional at bats where I played in the Willie Mays Classic for the Juneteenth thing down in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And bro, my heart was beating, my adrenaline was flowing so much. You know, I'm facing Edwin Jackson, and I'm facing who else did I face? I faced like one other pitcher, and my heart was pounding because I didn't want to embarrass myself and I didn't want to get hurt. And so I enjoyed it from that perspective. And that's it for me. I'm out of baseball right now. I am a soft tossing softball grandpa to try to get my kid to make contact so he can feel good about himself.
You're sitting on the bucket. You're sitting on the bucket. Soft toss.
Most definitely. I am trying to make him feel really good about what he's doing out there. And, you know, all we can do is talk about my stuff and try to pull up some old screens.
Yeah.
That's about it. And that is it.
Absolutely. All right, Michael, we appreciate your expertise and always. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, Padres Reds coming up down at Petco Park. I will be there throughout the series covering it. We will have more great stuff. Heath Bell will be joining us on Wednesday to wrap up the Reds series and talk about his Savannah Bananas experience. For Mike Cameron, I'm Kyle Glaser. This has been another episode of Friar Territory. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you later this week.